This is the KoperCrabb podcast.
I'm Chaney Crabb.
I am Navene Koperweis.
Today on the show, we've got Michael Martin, a.k.a. Rickshaw, of Iwrestledabearonce and Worship and Tribute Nerd.
Word. Worship and Tribute Nerd is his podcast.
That's right.
By the way.
So, are you still going by Rickshaw? Is that strictly an IWABO thing? How did that name come up to be?
I know, I was going to text you and be like, so do we call you
Ricky or Mike?
I go by either one, you know what I mean? I feel like it's like this nickname that had like two worlds going on with your name, because like obviously whenever people call me Michael, there was a point in time where, like, you know, whenever there's like several Michaels in a room, you're just always gonna have to have nicknames for someone. Well, totally. I'm half Asian, so I was like Asian Mike around here, even though I don't even like look Asian, I look Hispanic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you Asian?
Yeah, I'm half Thai.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
All right.
But yeah, so then around here, like, you know, where I grew up or whatever, I was like Asian Mike. And then when we went on tour, because there was so many mics in the band, or like there was 2 mics at first, and then at the end of the band there was 3 mics, so like we all had to make nicknames. And of course, you know, back in the day, you could be kind of racist funny to your friends.
Yeah.
Right.
They were like, how about we call you Rickshaw? Because we played near the Rickshaw Theater, I think, one time.
Wow.
Oh, in Canada?
Yeah, and they were like, Rickshaw is such a cool name. We should just call you Rickshaw. And we're like, kind of racist, but hey.
They also happen to name you after the venue that has like the most heroin addicts hanging out back of it too. Yeah. So it's like,
it's the
cool guy.
Gnarliest venue ever.
Go on to like Rickshaw, Ricky, and then that turned into like Richard Shaw.
Of course. Dude, as tour things evolve, you know, everything is just like so warped and tripped out by the end of tour. I think I met you as Ricky. So when I found out that your name was Michael, I was flabbergasted.
Confused?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I still get that. Like there's times where I've known people for like 7, 8 years, and then like they put me on the list as Ricky Martin or Ricky Shaw. And I'm like, so all these people are like, I don't see your name on the list, man. And I'm looking down and it says Richard Shaw. Like, so then I'll be like, my name's Michael Martin. And they're like, oh man, how come I never knew that?
That's hilarious.
That's what happens with nicknames, man.
So, Ricky sent us some beer.
Yeah, I'm about to open some of it. Where is this electric jellyfish? Is it from Bayou? Or?
Can I have one?
So there's a place. I live in Pflugerville, Texas right now, and I work at a craft beer bar in Round Rock.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
So, you know, I'm just like, I'm gotten into more craft beers, and it's always on a constant rotation and stuff. So I was like, whatever, man. Like I've been looking for an excuse to like get my friends beers that I like from here. So like I gave out some jellyfish to some of my friends for Christmas too. So I was like, whatever, I'll pick them up some too. That is a place called Pine House Pizza.
Okay.
And there's a couple locations in Austin, and they are a brewery. And so Jellyfish is their most popular hazy.
Which is my favorite.
It's really good. And there's probably one person from Austin listening, so you should go.
Wow, that's really good. It's actually like a little more sour than most hazies that I've had. Like it's like slightly, it's not like a major sour flavor, but it's kind of on the sour side.
Let's do a virtual cheers.
I'm drinking some Shiner.
Cheers. What is that? Shiner?
Yeah, it's a Shiner seltzer.
A White Claw.
Yeah.
So Shiner jumped in on the whole White Claw thing, huh?
What's Shiner?
Or what is it? No, seltzer, sorry. Shiner Buck. You know, it's like that beer in Texas that's really popular.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, totally.
Like
that's like the Texas beer you get on tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grab one
Well,
of those.
I'm more of a Lone Star kind of Texas beer
Yeah.
person.
So there's Lone Star, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Even though I work at a craft beer bar now, I'm like, I'll try one of those beers and then I'll either jump to like Michelob Ultra afterwards or seltzers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have like I have an embroidery machine, and I was like making all kinds of hats, and I made a Coors Light hat, and I would like wear that to craft breweries here, and they didn't think it was funny. They would get pissed, dude. Like they wouldn't say anything to me about it, but I could tell they would look at it and just be like, this fucking guy, you know? It's like,
What an asshole, hipster asshole.
yeah. But I was kind of at first like anti-craft beer in a way, you know. I was like, this is disgusting. It tastes like melted pennies. And then I don't know, it came around, I guess.
I've never been like offended by it, but like I'm the type of guy that like whenever it started, we haven't started having this revolution of like 100 beers on the wall. You know what I mean? I was like, man, I don't got time to get into the beer like this because I'm really into movies, but I could scroll on Netflix for like an hour and then just go to sleep without picking something.
Oh, yeah.
So I've always been the guy that's just like, give me Dos Equis because I'm just used to that shit.
I know.
You know?
I totally am the same exact way. Like when we were kids, we'd go to the video store, you know, and you just fucking in there for like 2 hours, and then it's like, let's just go home, dude. This isn't happening.
Speaking of video stores, we watched this documentary last night on the last Blockbuster in America. Have you seen this?
I have not, but I read an article about that place once, and like, you know, going strong. You know,
I'm more surprised that there is a Blockbuster. That's what blew my mind.
I can't believe. Well,
like, how's that
at
possible?
the beginning of the shooting for the documentary, there were 3, and 2 of them were in Alaska, but the final one is in Bend, Oregon.
That's tight.
It's
like that reminds me of that episode of South Park though, where like the Blockbusters are like haunted, like because nobody ever goes in there. It's like cold wind and like.
I mean,
I'm like not up to date on South Park, unfortunately.
Me either, but I know that they're always like killing it with they're on point about current times, right?
Topical humor.
They had an episode where when they would mention like this cold, dark place where no one goes, it was like it turns out they were talking about Blockbuster.
That makes perfect sense.
It's true, man. I mean, but Blockbuster, I never went to Blockbuster as a kid, honestly. I was more of a Hollywood Video type.
Hollywood Video was shit.
Did you guys go to video stores? Of course, you had to have, right?
I grew up in Kansas, and so it was like we didn't have much going on. So trips to the video store, like especially on the weekends, was crucial. You know what I mean? It'd take up some of your time.
Totally.
But I ended up so there was a few video stores I would go to, but then sometimes I might have late fees at those.
Yeah.
So then I would hit Blockbuster Video as the desperate place. But you know, once you had fees at Blockbuster, it was over. Like you might as well just give up and never go back because it's like
totally
$800. Like, you owe me us $800 for Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
One of the things that they were saying in the documentary that actually like crushed Blockbuster's business is that they eventually stopped doing late fees, and it was a huge ad campaign they did toward the end, and they said that overnight they dropped to only selling like 33% of their sales. It dropped that much overnight.
Those late fees were their bread and butter, dude.
No,
Those bastards.
Dude, totally.
I actually stole Fight Club on DVD from Blockbuster.
Damn.
That's tight.
Yeah.
I was always
I don't know how I did it, but I did it somehow.
I
knew I had it.
At movie rental places with my parents, so I never.
This is when I was like a teen. When I was like 16, we like rolled over to Blockbuster, and I don't know, somehow they had the DVDs like actually in the package.
Oh yeah.
And somehow this one didn't have the security thing on it, and I was like, I'm gonna take it, fuck it, and had Fight Club for a long time.
I was honestly always kind of kind of jealous of kids who were brave enough to steal that type of stuff.
Yeah, I'm like a total wimp, but I did have some encounters with stealing for a while.
dealing encounters too. I was just saying this the other day that like I used to collect Marvel comic like cards.
Yeah.
Like so in the 90s, like the artists would just be like, you know, like let's make up reasons to make money with our art. So they would just like draw every character and make a card collection, and it'd start happening like twice a year or something. But I had like full collections of like, you know, it was like 94, 95, 96, like all of their shit. And it was just like all Walmart cards that I would just be like, every time me and my parents dropped into Walmart, I'd be like, oh, what's up, cards?
Okay. Damn, with your parents.
Yeah, with the parents.
That's pretty bold.
Yeah, that's very bold. So you're like a hipster Marvel guy. You were into it before anyone else was into it. When it was still like the nerdy thing to do, because now the thing about all of that nerdy shit is now it's super cool to be into Star Wars. Everyone's watching The Mandalorian. Everyone's into Marvel because of the movies. But it used to be really super uncool to be into that shit.
I mean, it's always been cool in my head.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's the problem with my life.
For the people who it's cool for, it's cool. But as far as like mainstream society goes, like you were a nerd if you were into that stuff back in the day.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely was. I mean, I was known as a nerd. That's, you know, I was the nerd that smoked weed, and like,
sure.
you know, so everybody's like, hey,
he's pretty cool though. He's all right.
It's like, hey, there's 250-pound 8th grade Michael that likes comic books. You know, I'm like, I'm the X-Men. Shut up. I use my powers against you. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was pretty uncool, and in a cool way though.
Of course.
Uncool.
But you're
cool
like
way.
hipster Marvel. You've been into it. What got you into that stuff in the first place?
So, you know, like that whole Saturday morning cartoon era back in the day when we were like, I don't know, how old I'm 37 and I'm
32.
35. 35.
Okay.
And a half. 35 and a half now.
Yeah.
So,
Fuck.
definitely, you know, we're young in the Saturday morning cartoon era, you know what I mean? Because it seems like I don't think they do that anymore. If they do, it's not the same. I don't know how to.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. Like sometimes I'm in people's houses because like I work in people's houses, and they'll have cartoons on, but it's all like really low grade computer animation. That's what cartoons are now.
Oh yeah, I hate those kind of cartoons. They suck.
It sucks. It looks like Toy Story, but like from like '97. Like
totally.
They could probably just do it like real quick. You know, they just punch in like the script or something, and it just like makes the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what it is now. It's kind of a bummer.
You know, as soon as X-Men the animated series came out, and then that just like snowballed it all into like I started reading the comics, realizing the comics were like way cooler, and then I started like doing art and stuff like that, kind of trying to like draw like comic book art, and that's pretty much. And like, you know, once I was touring for a while, I had like forgotten about all that, and then I just kind of like woke up one day and was like, why don't I still rep all that X-Men stuff? Why don't I still read comics? And so, you know, it's like
a little revival.
What's that?
A little revival going on.
Yeah. So I got sucked back into it.
Yeah.
Because there was a point in time where like all my action figures were in a box, and I was moving from LA to Texas, and I just couldn't afford to like send all of it to myself. Yeah. And there was definitely a time where I threw a box of like action figures away, and like I think about that all the time.
You're like, why?
Navene has a box of metal T-shirts he threw away that he talks about.
I didn't throw them away. I gave them
away
to a guy for basically nothing. Yeah. When I moved from here, Santa Cruz, down to LA, it was probably around the same time because. So I guess we should explain. We know each other from going on tour together when I was in Animals and you were in Iwrestledabearonce.
Yeah. And then we met because we had a party at our house in probably 2011.
So I think you guys moved to LA around the same time that Animals did.
Right. And, yeah. And I do remember going to that party and getting inebriated.
Yeah, totally inebriated.
That was really funny. There's like a funny thing I actually think about regularly. Is that my brother was there, and he like we all obviously were up till I don't know 8 or 9 a.m.
Yeah,
and
totally.
he found your receipt, and it was like a really funny purchase. Like just, it was like a hot dog. I don't really know what it was. It was like a hot dog and like a Michelob Ultra or something. And then he was like, check out this receipt I found, dude. And then I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And he's like, that's not what's funny. Look at the time. And it was like 8:30 a.m. And I was like, dude, that's so fucking hilarious. And we were cracking up about it, dude. Because we had like the most epic party at that house.
We did. And I remember I was hanging out with you in Hov's room because we all lived together. Animals and as leaders and all of their girlfriends lived in a house together in LA. And you guys kind of did the same thing in IWABO, right?
You guys lived like inland though, right? I remember because you lived like a half hour away or something.
Yeah, we lived in Pasadena for a while.
Oh, that's yeah.
Well, the first time, when we first moved out that way, it was like Rolling Heights, and then we got a place in Pasadena. So,
what was that like?
I mean, it was really fun. It was the thing about living out there, and I'm from Texas, you know what I mean? And I'm used to like smaller city, or now I live in Austin, which is a bigger city, but I still live in like the suburbs of Austin and stuff like that. But when I moved there, I was like, this is great. And I had like, like stars in my eyes and shit. and then I was like, wow, it's expensive to live here.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I couldn't imagine that, dude.
And then I had like homies like, hey, hit me up. Like, oh, it says you only live like 8 miles away. I'm gonna come over. And then it would be like 4 hours.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I know. Pasadena is the cuts. I worked out there for a while, and Pasadena from North Hollywood, like as the crow flies, isn't that far. It's like what, 10 miles or something?
Yeah.
But driving in traffic, it would take me 2.5 hours to get to and from work every day. Nightmare. It was fucking ridiculous. And
we lived further than North Hollywood at that point. We lived in
in Van Nuys. But dude, I'm from Des Moines, which is a city, but it's a small city. And I had the same experience as you. Like I moved to LA and was kind of just in it. And like it's very strange. It's like a heavy contrast going from small town vibes to Los Angeles.
It was just mostly like, man, like if I was like a rich person, like it would be great, you know what I mean? But like doing the band thing, didn't have a side job, so you know what I mean? Like only relying on band income. And then I was like driving the van, which it was like, even when I would like, I'm gonna go check out some stores or something, and I'd be like, I can't even find a place to park the van unless I pay. Like, damn it.
Totally.
Yeah, we had like a minivan.
Yep. It was like the communal minivan.
Yeah, and it was because the Animals we didn't own a van to tour with, but basically what happened was when I joined Animals, I let my brother like kind of have my car. Like, okay, I'm not gonna need it for a while. You can use it or whatever. And he fell asleep and drove off the road and totaled it.
Damn, that sucks.
So then he bought. With the insurance money, he and I went and bought a minivan. And then he moved to Colombia for a while.
Yeah.
So Chaney and I took the minivan. And so we were rolling around in the minivan in LA. And it was just funny because it was like so shitty. We're like Beverly Hillbillies, dude, straight up.
We totally were.
It was fucking hilarious.
Well,
like,
and
if you went to a party and they like valet it, it's like, here you go, dude.
Embarrassing.
Valeting like this.
Well, the only two cars, because
Javier
had what was that, like a Bronco or something?
Yeah, and he had a blue Blazer.
A blue Blazer, which got stolen. I don't know who stole it, but I think that like there was this thing that happened back in the day where someone broke into their house and had all of their guitars. All of their guitars were stolen, but someone also stole this
van while they were
the Blazer.
I think they broke into the house, loaded all the guitars into the Blazer, and then took off. It was pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
I know. We wonder if the parties had something to do with it. Like there was a bad actor who showed up at a party. You know what I mean?
I think I lost or had my phone stolen at that party.
Oh God.
Because
really?
like Javi wanted to show me some music or something. And then I sat down on his bed, like, and jammed for a little bit. And I think I might have left my phone, like, or it slipped out of my pocket or something. And then I went and like partied for a second. And then I just never saw that phone ever again. Damn. So I was like,
well, I do remember that party getting like out of control. You
Yeah,
know what
there
I mean?
were
Like there was
a
like
lot of
tons of
people
people because people don't have house parties in LA.
No, it
right?
was
So
like a house party that you see in a movie because we had this little bar outside in the back. Do you remember that? It had like bamboo.
It was like a little tiki bar.
Yeah, it was a tiki bar. Someone started manning that fucking bar, and people were like tipping the person. It was a full blown like legitimate party.
Sick.
Yeah,
it was really fun. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, it was.
I think we had one other party like that too. Well, when we lived there.
Did you guys move to California for the band?
It was the type of thing where, like, we were, okay, so early we were doing a lot better, obviously in like 2010 and 9 and stuff, like, and the thing is we all lived in a house in Shreveport, Louisiana. And shit. we just, we all were like, it would be better to live together and the band kind of just like pay for our house. And then that way we don't have to divvy anything up. And then if we have to like bear down and be poor, like doing it as a group and counting peanuts, you know what I mean? It was like a little bit better than everyone living separate and paying separate rent that are like bigger and smaller than other people's and stuff like that. Yeah. So we just kind of figured we just tough it out and all live under the same roof, which kind of bit us in the ass later.
Yeah.
Because you start to look at people and I spend more a minute with this person.
Dude, I can't imagine going on tour with my whole band and then coming back and we're still on fucking tour. Like,
it's like, why the fuck are you here?
That's still? I have loved everyone I've been in a band with, but at the end of tour, I don't want to fucking see them for a while.
No.
I just want to be away from them. So I can't imagine.
But at the same time, we go on tour together and then live at home. So
I don't know. It's a different experience being in a romantic relationship with someone.
Yeah.
I mean, like, even like it's subjective to every case because there's some people that are like, he's my absolute best friend in the whole goddamn world. And then you're like, but you need to get the fuck out of my face. Yeah. And there's times where you're like, this guy isn't my best friend, but we get along great at all times. You know what I mean? Like,
I know exactly what you mean, dude. Like, that's the thing about tour. It's like there's some people that you can just tour with and it's like it's all good. And you might not even be the best friends outside of tour, but it just works.
Yeah.
I just feel like some people have the mentality at the top of their brain is like, I want to live comfortable and make other people comfortable too and not have that weirdness.
Yeah.
And some people can't find that part. You know what I mean? Like they don't understand when they're being difficult and stuff like that. And some people know that it's uncomfortable. I'm not going to do these things to make you uncomfortable. And I also respect your space. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah. I feel like I'm kind of weird, but I think I'm okay to tour with.
I think I am too. I mean, dude, everyone has their days. On touring is very hard. It's a really hard thing to do. And to like wake up in a van next to people with smelly breath and shit every day, it's like, but it does, there are certain personalities that just really work on tour. And I think that for me, I can tour.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I fucking miss touring, honestly. So.
I was going to ask you that, because before Corona, like when was the last tour that you did?
I mean, so, IWABO ended in 2015. So since I've just been normal life and,
It's pretty much like when Antheo started.
Well, I remember, I don't know if this was your guys' last tour, but we were supposed to do a tour together.
Oh, yeah.
With Alisana and you guys. And
really?
Yeah, we ended up dropping off of the tour for some reason. I can't remember why, but
our thing is dropping off tours. That's like what we do.
It was. There at the beginning of our band, we dropped off of like 3 tours, and I still feel like an asshole for doing that.
I mean, it happens. But yeah, I think that was our last tour. It was like us, Alisana, what was the I fucking can't even remember. It was like the funeral portrait, something. I don't know. Was that the in 2015? Was it supposed to be in the fall?
Yep, it was the end of 2015. Totally.
So that was our last tour. So you guys missed
that. Yeah. I mean, that actually would have been fun.
I know,
with
we
you
were
guys, for
stoked
sure.
because, you know, I'd been friends with Courtney for a bit at that time, and I'd known you. Yeah, because we met because of that Veil of Maya tryout that I did. I'd known you for a long time. I was excited to tour with all of you guys, but it just didn't happen, you know. Did you know during the tour that you were going to break up, or was it like an after?
It was, you know, it was like a 90% thing. We were like, because at that point in time, we had kind of figured out that like Steven was the one that was not on the tour because he was doing things with Diplo, Major Lazer.
Yeah,
he was like stage managing and stuff.
He tour manages, you said, for them?
He stage manages.
Okay.
So make sure all the shit's, you know, working right and stuff. I don't know.
Space bar is ready to go. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just a joke.
Got the ball, you know, space bar, beach ball.
Yeah. That's a 2010 joke for you guys.
Working.
Like a t-shirt gun. That would be.
Yeah. So, you know, for us still touring and just kind of like doing it without him, it was like, for one, it was like, I don't know, we felt that there was kind of a relief because he would always kind of towards the end kind of ride us about like, you need to do this and you need to do that. And like, everything needs to work right. And we're like, yeah, we get it. We've been in a band for a while. And so I think that's where us living together and we started butting heads. And then, you know, he wasn't even on the tour and he would kind of like, hey, we need to pay this bill. We need to pay that bill. And it just started being like,
weird. That sounds weird.
Yeah. Like, we're like, just give us a break, you know? So we kind of started thinking like maybe he wants out of the band and maybe, you know, so we kind of started dancing around that option and kind of brought it up with him. And then that's when it kind of hit the fan. You know what I mean? He's like, why would you think I want out of the band? And we're like,
well, you're not here. So that would be, for starters, the first thing.
So that's where it kind of, you know, we started talking about like, and you know, there's no animosity anymore. I actually just did an interview with Steven and we touch on some of this stuff, but it's mostly just like vibing and stuff because we didn't talk for years after the band ended and stuff. So it's cool to have that friendship back. But you know, at the time, it seemed like it was too much business in his head when we were just like, bro, we're out here on the road and you're not, you know what I mean? Yeah. So eventually
that's going to get weird. That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, the final straw was like us being like, you know, we could either just be the band without you or, you know, you could just have it, you know, and
you're
that's kind of how it ended up. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with bands. You enter in and it's like all really cool and it sometimes becomes too business. And I don't know, people just grow apart and it sucks because it's almost like moving in with someone, right? I'm not into having roommates because I feel like roommate situations just inevitably end up in some weird way. Like the person doesn't wash the dishes or, you know, they just like grind on you and when you depart bands with other people, it can be hard and you can leave with like a lot of resentment toward the other person sometimes. But I think it's always best to like make up with people in the long run and just because chances are that at one point you guys did have like a really good relationship, you know?
And, you know, money is the cause of most fights and the most evil and, you know, and it sucks to like sit there and like hold a grudge against someone that you might have been super tight with at one time for money reasons or business reasons. You know what I mean? It's a really thin line between like business and friendship when you're in a band together, you know?
Yeah.
That's the hardest part.
It really is.
If you're lucky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they don't have that problem. I mean, they're not going on tour and they're not making any
Yeah,
money.
they like wish
So
for
there's-
money problems. Please let us find
I
out
always
money.
try to keep that perspective, you know? It's like, it's a lucky problem to have because, like I said, most people, they're not getting enough money to pay for a house or whatever, you know? And so,
I mean, there are a lot
I
of
don't know.
people who like are baffled by the thought of being able to pay for all of their merch at the end of a tour. You know, it is all about perspective, man.
Totally.
And some people lose it, you know? Things can get to people's heads.
definitely. I mean, I think it goes pretty quick. As soon as you get out there, it's like everybody's complaining and it's just like, oh, this sucks.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, you know, you set your own standards every day, and like that could snowball into greed real fast. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like,
Totally.
because you're like, oh, we're this popular and we're making this much money, and then a year later you're like, oh, we're this popular, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm the fucking king.
Totally.
and like I'm gonna keep making more money, and then you're not popular anymore, and you're just
Exactly.
standing there with your fucking dick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly, dude. And that's, I mean, seriously, that's not that, I mean, for me personally, I've gone, you know, I've been in like bigger bands and then gone back down and up and down a bunch of times. And it's like, I don't know, I think I have a unique perspective in that way, seeing how it is to sort of start over again. Like even when I joined Animals, that was starting over again, you know, like, because I was coming from Animosity, which was like, we weren't like the biggest band in the world or anything, but I mean, we got paid to go on tour and we were somewhat had a fan base, I guess you could call it. So yeah, like even going to Animals was like, fuck, this is starting over again, you know, like shit, we're not getting any money. Like, you know, it was rough in that way, but it was just so fun because I was like, wow, we're actually playing this music. And then like that Dillinger tour that we did with you guys was like super sick, you know, it was super fun. That was like,
Oh yeah.
definitely one of those tours that like stands out in my mind for sure.
Yeah. The most disappointing thing about that tour, and this is so stupid, but like I love Zillinger, but like every night, like after we would play, you know, and I'd go try to vibe with people and have some beers by the merch, and then they would start playing and be like, da, 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 da. And I would just be like, I'm just trying to talk to people, and it's so.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the tour, there was like a year or something where I just never listened to Dillinger because I was just like still hearing like.
Yeah. And they're loud live.
They're
For
very
sure.
loud, and their light show, when you watch that every night on tour, it's like you
I don't know if
feel like
they
you're
have-
going to
I
have an
don't-
aneurysm.
I don't know if they had that. Did they have that light show?
They had like the blinders that would like.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, yep,
Yeah.
blinders, dude.
So I didn't watch it, obviously, because I can't handle
There
that.
were some nights when we were on tour with Dillinger that I literally couldn't. There, some of the rooms were small, like what's that spot in Seattle? Studios. No, it wasn't
El
Studio-
Corazon.
El Corazon.
Yeah.
It's just like so small that the lights were making me sick that night. But
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
It is pretty intense, but I mean that's their thing. They're like, you know, they're awesome in that way.
yeah, I mean,
I remember actually after that, like a couple years after that tour, well, must have been a few years because I was out of Animals, and we went and saw Dillinger with Faceless. Remember that?
yeah, I totally remember.
And it's like watching them like not on tour with them. I was like blown away. It's like, dude, this band is insane.
Yeah, they
dude.
they blew the Faceless
Yeah,
out
like
of the water.
I was like,
It was like the Faceless opened for them, and I fucking love the Faceless. But then Dillinger came on, and it
and
was,
it was like, oh
holy
my god,
shit.
this is crazy, dude. This is insane. Like
I
it was
know,
so
yeah.
sick. Like I that actually is a cool feeling. Like you probably feel that way when you go to a show after you haven't really been on tour for a couple of years. And you're
Right.
just like, this is fucking crazy. Like this. I remember having that exact feeling. Actually, Animosity broke up, and then like the following year, I went to Summer Slaughter,
Yeah.
and I walked in, and Origin was playing. Right, and I haven't been to a metal show in probably like 6 months, a year, and I was just like, oh my god, this is like. I don't know. It just hit me so hard, and I was like, "This rules! Like, this is why I love this. This is insanity! Like, this is crazy."
Totally.
There was a point in time for me like that too. It was like I'm pretty sure it was like around 2013 or something, and I was just like so tired, and like, you know, I felt like it was like the end of like a couple of tours, and I was just like, oh God, I'm just in a bad mood. And then I was like, wait, I've been out of weed for a little bit. And then like, found some weed that night, and I like smoked a fucking joint outside. I mean, allegedly, I don't know where I was.
Allegedly.
But when I went back into the venue, I was like walking through, and I starting to feel blazed. And then like, I can't remember who we were touring with, but it was just like definitely a lot of open chugging breakdowns, like heavy as shit. And I just remember stopping and looking at them playing, and I was like, oh yeah.
Like, this rules. Yeah.
It's like I hadn't smoked weed and stood in front of the stage without a jaded perspective for like a month.
Totally. Dude, I've had so many experiences like that. Like, I don't know if you're my age. So do you remember that band Into the Moat?
Yes.
Okay, dude. My old band Animosity tour, like our second tour was with them. Like
Nice.
our first actual, like, it's a booked tour with like, you know, the dates are already like good to go. You know what I mean? It's like a real tour. That was like our first actual tour, not like you show up in Texas and no one's there. It was like an actual tour. So, you know, it's not like there was the shows were huge or anything, but that was our first tour. And dude, I smoked weed a lot at that time. And dude, I would just like smoke weed and then go sit straight on the stage and just close my eyes and listen to the music. And dude, because they did all kinds of crazy chugging and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, this is the coolest thing ever. And I was only like 20, you know? It was the best. That was seriously the best. I just love that. Actually, that band fucking rules. I don't know if you're into
Into
that
the Moat
band.
does rule.
I was like a late bloomer though, with like, because I didn't even pick up an instrument till I was like 24 or something. So I was
dang.
like,
Wow.
Crazy.
That's awesome.
So dumb,
24.
though.
That would have been right around, you might have missed that. Yeah, that might have been before your time, dude.
I mean, I was listening, but at the time I was like, I'm trying to be a vocalist, so I don't need to pick up. An instrument.
Oh, okay.
Well,
okay,
so you were a vocalist. So you had been into metal like for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've been into metal since like the first time I heard like "Twist" by Korn.
Okay.
The album.
All right,
Okay.
got you. So that's like not early, mid 90s.
So you were like
type stuff.
so you were a vocalist until you were 24, basically.
Right, but I
'Cause
never had an actual band. You know what I mean? It was just like me and another guy that jammed around and
Totally.
stuff.
You were just like
Yeah.
screaming in your house.
I'm gonna go ahead and guess that you guys covered Twist. What's up?
I mean, I have a pretty sick Jonathan Davis sound.
Hey, dude, no fucking bullshit. Me and Chase covered Twist. What up?
In raw aggression.
No, before we even had a band.
Oh shit.
Like,
You guys are a little older than me because I never covered that.
oh, fuck
I
yeah,
was like
dude. We
Lamb
covered,
of God.
dude, like me and the first dude I ever jammed with, his name is Chase. He was in Animosity with me, actually, and he lives in Santa Cruz. And, dude, we used to, like, we got introduced through a friend, and we were in, like, 6th grade. And it was like, it was on. It was like, oh, you play guitar, I play drum, let's fucking jam. And, like, we would just run covers, you know?
Yeah,
He'd
of
just be,
course.
like, the first time we hung out, it was like, all right, dude, you know how to play, like, this Silver Chair song? I'm like, fuck yeah, I know how to play it. Dude, what's up? And we would just play that, and then it would be like, all right, like, then we would play Twist, we would play, like, just all alternative rock and fucking new metal songs and, like, all that shit. And then he got a 7-string, and it was like,
So
mind-blowing,
okay,
like-
I want to put it on you guys right now. #1 new metal record. What do you think it is?
damn. Obviously Slipknot.
Uh,
Does that count, though?
Yeah, it counts for sure.
I'd have to go. Which one is it? The self-titled one? Is that what, does it have a name? The, like, Slipknot, the first one. That's not
Self-titled.
actually the first one. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just gonna go with Life is Peachy Korn because
Yeah, dude.
I mean,
for real,
that's
solid.
that
it
is.
opened so many doors for me. You know what I mean?
You know what
So-
else is
I'm
super?
going Mudvayne at LD50
No,
is my
dude.
favorite. I'm sorry, you guys. It's my favorite. I loved Mudvayne, and I'm from Iowa.
Yeah, what a traitor. What a traitor.
I'm from Des Moines, Iowa, and
Life is Peachy is a solid pick, though. And actually,
Life is Peachy
a
is.
few-
But I was a little more follow the leader.
Follow the Leader is so sick. Cheney and I actually, I think this was last year at sometime we were driving home from my dad's, which is like an hour and a half away, and we were like, let's jam like all the old school new metal. And dude, a lot of those Korn albums held up.
I mean,
I was really
production value of those Korn albums still sounds so fucking good.
That,
like they
also Issues. I remember we were listening to Issues, and I was like, Issues is sick. Like, it was more pop, but the songs were killer, man.
Totally.
So
I just like the fact that one song, the original lyrics were, "I feel the semen as." It's like, the label's like, maybe we should change that.
Holy shit.
Well, dude, something that I think about not very often, but every once in a while, it's like, you know, say what you want about Korn and stuff like that, but dude, that was like popular music.
Dude.
You know, that was the equivalent
it was on TRL.
Like, yeah.
I got home from school and I flipped on MTV and Korn was like fucking rocking on TRL with Carson Daly.
I know. And it's like, there's not an equivalent to that. I don't care what you say.
No.
There's no like heavy-ish band that's like on the same radio station as like, you know, it would be the equivalent of like it's Rihanna and Drake and some heavy band.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not the case these days.
That's what's missing with like, you know, what's going on in our world. Like, it's like, when did fucking they decide that metal shouldn't be in the mainstream? You know what I mean? Like, because it used to be Korn versus Britney.
I know.
And now it's like, we can't even have that argument with our fucking friends that like pop, because they're just so far up pop's ass that they don't know what metal is. You know what I mean? So
it's like off the radar.
They have no idea.
Yeah, it's like it's not even on the radar. It's just metal. That's weird. Yeah.
So I feel like we need something to like bring it back. You know what I mean? Fucking just to fucking punch Britney in the face, or Britney's not even around. Who would it be? Ariana Grande.
Aria Grande.
None of us. I don't know. Ariana is like one of the popular artists I could name. I don't know if I could name that many.
No,
others.
you got Nicki Minaj.
Billie Eilish.
Yeah, Billie Eilish is
Cardi B. Megan Thee Stallion.
Which we listened to last night.
Is Cardi B popular right now? Like with the WAP song? Isn't that Cardi B?
That's Cardi B. Yeah,
that's Cardi B.
Oh,
and
Chaney's trying to act like you don't
Megan Thee
know.
Stallion. Well, it's Cardi B and Megan.
We listened to that
No,
song
I fucking
last
love
night.
that song. But that's the only like. But on the, I don't know other stuff outside of that really.
Yeah, I mean, me neither really. I stay in my own metal bubble, I guess. You know, as far as, I mean, I like some Ariana Grande or some like, you know, I don't know, Mac Miller and like stuff like that.
Yeah, I fucking love Mac Miller, dude.
And those are things in the mainstream. I still enjoy mainstream. I'm like, that's part of the problem though too, is like, I'm such a fan of music. I can get into some pop and stuff like that, as to where on the other side of the spectrum, if you're a pop fan nowadays, you have no toleration for fucking heavy music. You know what I mean? So
that is true. I love pop music. However, I'm just not that in tune, just because I never really listen to the radio. I just don't really know what's popular. But if I hear it, then I'm into it. You know, like it's like a song like WAP. It's inevitable that I'm going to listen to that song. You know, it's going to come across my shit.
I jammed Little Kim whenever I was in high school. So obviously a dirty, nasty ass song like WAP, I'm going to be like, oh shit. This reminds me.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's like, I heard that there was this big uproar about WAP, and I'm just like, wow, time just kind of repeats itself, because Lil Kim was saying way nastier shit than could ever be in WAP. You know? And then it was like Khalees, my neck, my back, lick my pussy, and my crack. It's like, that's WAP like 15 years ago. So people just kind of maybe forget.
There was a song on the Little Kim album that was like, if you ain't sucking no dick, we don't need it. We don't want it. And then it's like, you ain't licking no butts, we don't want it. I was like, that's what I heard in high school, and you guys are freaking out about WAP? Like, come on.
I know.
Definitely true, dude. But I would keep that shit secret. You know what I'm saying? I'd have like all those rap, like I'd have them like hidden, like listening to them in headphones.
Really?
So no one's looking.
Oh,
yeah,
dude, I love rap music.
I know. I listened. Trust me, I loved it.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to have to go through the whole thing of like, you know, my parents getting on my case about the swear words and whatnot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like, you listen to the music when they talk about licking butts. Older brother.
I mean, my parents, like, they're cool, you know, so they wouldn't have really cared, but still, it's just like, I just didn't want to have to go there, you know?
You didn't want to have to play that song in front of your mom and like, it's like watching a dirty, well, not a dirty movie, but a movie where a sex scene comes on in front of your parents. Like, I still don't like that.
my friend watched Brokeback Mountain with his grandma, and he said he didn't realize it was happening until it was going down, and he was like, "Oh, I'm with my grandma. There's two cowboys butt fucking."
He did not watch that with his grandma.
He straight up watched it with his. But this is one of those weird ass dudes where like you're like, that would happen to you, dude. Like. But oh yeah, I was gonna tell the story about corn, but we went on a tangent. But there was this time, you know how I was talking about I have a good Jonathan Davis. There was a time when we did a tour with Alsana, and you know, whenever in Europe, and so like those Europe tours, you know, like at the beginning of the day, you would just set up the whole back line for like every band, and then you would just share, you know, throughout the whole show. Yep. Well, some of the dudes in Alsana, Jake and Alex would they would like set up the guitars, so they'd be checking, and then they'd be like, "Oh, our drummer is gone." So like Mikey and IWABO, they'd be like, "Mikey, come sound check some drums." So then they would just start jamming songs, and they would be like, "We need someone to check the mic," and I'm like, "I mean, I'll do it if you guys know some." So then they started playing 311, Beautiful Disaster.
Fuck
and I was
yeah.
like,
Oh, you better believe it, dude.
okay, I could shred this. And then so I started doing that, and I was like, okay, this is okay. You know, I could just, it doesn't sound the greatest with, you know, the how I could sing or whatever.
It's not my style. Not my style, but
I'll try it.
Yeah. But then they were like, "Oh, what corn songs do you guys know?" And I was like, "Oh, save some for me." But,
dude, you still got it.
Still got it, dude.
They straight up was, you know, learned, what was it, like Got the Life, and they like, yeah, let's try it. And they, you know, it was like, the room was empty, and it was like just everyone jamming for sound check, and they do like, or that song Got the Life, and I started doing it. The whole tour package like came out from the green rooms, and we're just like, dude, Jonathan Davis, bro.
Dude, that rules.
Yeah, we called ourselves mediocre at best, and you know, we were mediocre.
Oh, okay.
Shit.
I got it. So you guys formed like a little band, sounds like.
Right.
That's the dream.
But
the dream.
You know, got the life and Beautiful Disaster. That's it.
That's all. That's the only.
You didn't
songs
dive
you guys
into
did.
any other 311 songs? Peanut.
Yeah. No, just those two.
Dude, 311
I think they
fucking
knew
kicks
like,
ass, dude. Straight up.
so yeah, that was fun.
That sounds like a good time.
I've been-
Actually, I have the same story, but not quite.
Okay.
We were, so my old band Animosity, we went on tour in Europe with Converge. And like, I'm a big Converge fan. And one day they were like, oh, fuck, you know, the drummer's nowhere to be found, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I like, let me up there. You know, like, I got this. I know a song, you know? And, dude, they let me do it. And I fucking, like, ripped some songs with them at sound check, you know?
Damn.
And they were like, oh, that was sick. It was a little too fast, but it was...
Oh, was this back in your tempo? You were a little too fast of a player days.
Oh, fuck. I'd
Yeah.
never played to a metronome. You kidding me?
Yeah.
Just play as fast as you can. That's it.
Yeah.
But that was so
Bird
sick.
was like running too fast. Whatever, dude. They love.
Yeah, it was... but that was great. It was like... I remember the song that I played.
What song?
I don't know the name, but I just know how it goes. It's on Chained Up.
I'm sure it's good then.
Yeah, it was great. It was like... It was one of the best days, man. I'll never forget it. It was in Brighton, UK. You ever play there in Brighton?
Always foggy, always rainy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like there's a venue that's kind of like right on the beach there, and it's Brighton. We actually live next to New Brighton.
Yeah. I actually do know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, that's awesome. And that was a good time. And I fucking jammed with Converge.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
Kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
Kind of cool. You know?
I've like watched Converge one time at a German festival, and they played at like midnight or something, and I thought it was cool. So for you to play with them is
kind of sick. I got a bunch of funny stories from that tour. Actually, a lot of my funny tour stories are from that tour.
Actually, there's a story that you were wondering if you should tell the other day, and it was from that tour, and I think you should tell it right now. Your boner story.
Oh, the boner story. Okay. Yeah, I didn't even remember that. Okay. Dude, so check this out. You know how like in Europe you have to like get on the ferry to go from different countries, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had these like MC Hammer like really thin like pajama bottoms, you know, like these 90s ones. I thought they were super sick. I was like, these things are awesome. And so it's like, hey, we got to get off the bus and go in, you know, it's the middle of the night or whatever. And I'm like, okay, yeah, cool, whatever. And so I like grabbed my little blanket, and I had those thin pants on, right? And I'm like, fuck it, I'm just fucking tired, you know, I'm going to sleep. So I just went on the ground, went to sleep, and then it's like I wake up and I'm just pitching a tent, you know, like hardcore. And it's like 8 a.m. or something, right? So there's like families about like getting breakfast on the fucking ferry and shit. And I'm told that people like moms were like covering their kids' eyes and stuff. There's just this fucking guy like in a band.
Oh, damn. First thing you do is you got to find the toilet to neutralize that thing.
No, and I remember waking up and being like, "Oh no, dude, this is not good." So I'm pitching a tent hardcore, and everyone on the tour is just fucking totally laughing at me, like, "Oh, this motherfucker, like, you know, he sucks. Look at this guy, boner boy, you know," and like,
Boner boy.
Like, I mean, what's that? Why the man got the boner?
yeah, no, they were like, "Oh, hey," you know, the bass player of Converge is like, you know, funny guy, Nate. He's like, dude, moms were like shielding their kids' eyes to not see you, because I remember. It seemed like a good place to go to sleep because it was like 6 a.m. You know what I mean? And then when I woke up, it's like 8:30. It's like there's a shitload of people about. You know, they're getting breakfast and everything. And man, that's fucking hilarious stuff. You know what I mean? That's.
You know, every once in a while, your boner gets showed off to like people that you would never expect to be seeing it. You know.
Totally. I mean, honestly, what could I really be that embarrassed? I was like, yeah, I mean, hey, is what it is.
Well, I think that actually when you get a boner, it's a sign of being healthy.
Yeah. I was
So
like, hey, I'm good to go.
if anything, you're like, hey, everyone.
You're also on tour, so I don't know if there's some backing up going on there.
Yeah, some cloggage, some.
Yeah, I could go on forever, dude. There's so many funny, because that was the first time that Animosity went to Europe, so it was like, dude, it was on. It was.
You remember I'm pretty sure you were in those pictures. Like we got hammered in the backstage area of this show one time, and like we were taking pictures. It's because somebody had like a new camera or something.
Dude, it was Dustin. I was just talking about this.
We were talking about this this morning. No joke.
The guy who came on tour with us, Dustin, he's like a really good friend of mine. He had like a super sick like DSLR, and like nobody had one.
Yeah, and so you know, IWABO and Animals were just like posing together, like making all these fun shots.
Oh my! We need to find those. I remember there was like all these funny pictures of you guys like doing the like 70s thing where it's like the whole band like. One after the other, in a row.
I've seen these. Yeah.
I think
because Dustin is one of my best friends. Yeah, I've seen them. It was like you guys and Hav, maybe. Yeah,
there was a ton of funny ass pictures. That was in like Michigan. It was in Detroit.
Yes, yeah, that was a long time. And then they had poles back there too, and we were taking pictures on the poles like we were strippers. You know.
All right, we are going to find these pictures. They might be on my Facebook.
They might be.
I've never done an audit on my Facebook, so it's just the Wild West.
That's the
there.
thing, you know. On Instagram, it's the cool thing for people to go back and delete all of their pictures, but on Facebook, it's like a fucking.
No, there's.
How do you do it?
Yeah,
there's
a scrapbook.
Dude, there's definitely pictures from that tour and like from right before that tour.
Yeah,
that are just kind of epic, like etched into my memory.
Yeah, I did a lot of drinking back then, so it was, like the when I look back, it's like the uncool drinking at times. You know what I mean? Where we just like, no rules tonight.
Yeah, I feel like that's how tour goes sometimes, though. You know,
right.
Like we got back from our first European tour with Entheos, and it was like I think I was a literal alcoholic at the end of that tour. Like I hadn't stopped drinking for 30 days, and it was like not good. You know?
Right.
No, it's like,
what? It's fine. The only reason I say that, like, it's an unsafe amount to drink sometimes is like when you would wake up like at least once a week and your friends go, so you need to apologize to this person and then that person, And so that's when I started being like, maybe I should slow down, So
you get the horrors. Horror, like when you wake up and you're just horrified.
Oh,
like,
dude.
Oh,
and you're like anxious because you remember certain portions of conversations that you had with people, but you don't know where it went. And you're like, that could have gone really fucking badly, dude. And then it's like you're anxious about it for one day, and the next day you're like, you know what? Everyone gets drunk, man. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm good.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we've all like gotten wasted and scaled the side of buildings and pissed off the top. You know what I mean? Like,
everyone has done that.
Yeah.
My thing is like the worst thing I do is on every tour, I will puke somewhere weird.
I will.
I hate to admit it.
I puke too.
It happens.
I've like run off of stage and puked.
Yeah. So, like on that Converge tour, I straight up on that Converge tour, it was like we drank a bunch of wine. Like I remember this very clearly. We were like, hey, let's get wine on the rider. That'd be funny. And we were drinking like a shitload of wine. And then I don't smoke, but I was like just being kind of funny after the show. And it was like a ton of people hanging out. And I was like smoking cigarettes just kind of like as a gag, like, oh, that's hilarious. Look at this guy. And, it just made me super, like a bunch of bottles of wine and smoking cigarettes, like as if I was French or something. And then
cigarettes will fuck your world up. When I tried to become addicted to them, I would puke all the time.
Disgusting.
When I was drinking, I would puke all the fucking time.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that's how cigarettes. It's like whenever I was trying to smoke them to be cool. And then I have asthma, so it's so.
So then like those buses over there, they get going, dude. And it was like actually I think it might have been no, it wasn't the first night, but it was one of the early on nights. And I was like, dang, dude, this is not going to work for me, And I ran to the bathroom and I made it to the bathroom, right? And I'm like, fuck, there's somebody's in there, right? It's on the bus. And I'm just like, all right, fuck it, dude. Like, this is not good. So I run back up to the bunk. And the only thing I found my pillowcase, straight up puked in the pillowcase. Then one of the fucking guys on tour with us, they were in a band. I think they were like Straight Edge or something. He narked.
Who do you narc to? The bus driver?
Yeah, he straight up narked. Hey, dude, Navene puked in his bunk. Just announced it to everybody.
What a dickhead.
I know. Can you believe that?
That's what I was really thankful for on the first time that we went to Europe. No one was a non-drinker.
Yeah, no narcs.
Like there were no narcs.
No, it was bad.
On the tour.
It was bad.
Have you ever been on tour with a narc?
I think so, really.
So yeah, hey dude, Navene puked in his bunk, and then it's fuck. I had to pay for the pillow and all this shit. It's Europe.
What?
Yeah.
There was this band. Oh man, I can't even. It was like one of those like newer upcoming, like one guy was a screamer, one guy was a singer bands. I can't even remember the name of them. They were like coming up in 2013 or something, and we did a Europe tour with them. And one of the dudes would get so obnoxious, and I'm known for like whenever I hit a point with like the way I feel about someone or like how they're like bugging me, like, and I would get drunk, so they would I would be just known for just snapping and just being like, dude, you need to stop being so fucking annoying. Jesus Christ, dude, like, ruin everybody's time. Everybody hates when you're around because you're so obnoxious and shit, you know. And like, I remember this kid being like, a tear just dropped out of his face. He was, why is Rickshaw fucking yelling at me, dude? And I was like, oh man, I feel so bad, but alcohol and your attitude made me do it, you know. So
I get that, man. That's actually really funny.
I can't even remember the band name. Fuck my ass.
Yeah, no, I'm really bad with names. It's not good. It's horrible, to be honest.
There are a lot of bands.
But yeah, hey, how did your guys' recording go?
It went
really well.
really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I only have done the drums so far, but it was fucking so fun just doing drums every day. I could do that for the rest of my life. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I mean, I watched you like posted a little, just drum test, right?
Yeah, a little teaser. Get the hype going.
Nice.
Right on.
Yeah. Yeah. Me and one of my friends reconnected and we're just like working on this demo thing. And I was like, hey, let me do some vocals. So yeah, we were talking about
sick.
how I did Jonathan Davis vocals. I'm not doing that, but I mean,
It's just going to be Jonathan Davis the whole time. Just mimic.
Rickshaw as Jonathan Davis. But yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Maybe if it's good enough, I'll release it, which is the goal.
You should. I think that it's like, dude, just fucking put it out. It doesn't
Keep
really
going,
matter
man.
how good it is, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So you're
Yeah.
like, you have the music bug.
Yeah, I do.
How long did it take you after?
So whenever IWABO ended in 2015, and you know, I didn't do anything for like a year. I didn't even like touch my bass or want to do anything like that. But I live in Denton, Texas after the band ended or whatever, and that's where like most of my best friends are from. We used to be in a band called like Surrounded by Monsters, and it was kind of like techie weirdo. It was like IWABO, but in a different kind of style of metal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they'd all been sitting around doing nothing too. And so we were like, hey, let's, start this new like poppy band, because I was feeling like heavy music jaded, for a while.
Of course. Everyone gets that way. It's a thing that happens.
Yeah. And so we started this band called The Worst Intentions, and my buddy Ross, like, he wrote a lot of the music in it, and then we like kind of joined up and started writing together. And it was like, the way we described it was like, it could get heavy, but it's also the kind of band you could invite your mom to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was like the dream back in the day. Yeah. It's like, dude, like when I joined Animals, that was like the first like not totally obnoxious band I was in, It's like, your mom could check it out in there. They won't even be offended, really.
Yeah. So, I mean, they didn't make it out because that's so are, but it was fun for a while. But then, I don't know. It seemed like I was all about it being for fun and stuff, but then it stopped being that fun, and like no one else wanted to put in like enough effort for it to be a real band. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The story of every band ever.
Yeah.
But, at this point, everybody's feeling old and shit anyway. So I was like, whatever. So we stopped doing that, and then the pandemic really has gotten me, like 2020 has got me feeling like really angry, at night, obviously, and the way that people act and shit like that. So I reconnected with one of my old friends that I've moved to Texas to start a band with. And that was like in 2003 or something. So we finally started talking again, and he's like, I've been writing some shit and it sounds like 2006 metal. And I'm like, let me scream on it, dude. And he was like, let's do it. So we just been kind of like riffing, and like I've been in my upstairs bathroom closet recording vocals every now and then whenever I get a good amount of sleep and breakfast and stuff.
That's awesome, man. It's interesting how coronavirus has done this to so many people, because it's like so many people who just weren't even playing music right before this happened. I don't know if it's because, people got laid off of work and shit. Everyone seems to have the music bug again.
Yeah.
Which is really tight.
It is tight. Even though it's like it's taking the world being the most miserable it's been in a while to make people artistic and creative.
Yeah.
So, but I hope that like whenever things go back to normal, everyone will realize how much they need art and start paying for it more. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I know. I hope so too. It's been really inspiring seeing people do like successful live streams and things like that. Like music has persisted through this whole pandemic thing, even though even though live music is obviously gone by the wayside, music on the internet level is still really in full effect.
Right.
And it's like, I feel like if people are using the internet correctly, then their bands will survive through to the other side.
Right.
So I think that maybe for a lot of people, they will come back stronger than they were before. Because it's easy like to go on tour and not pay attention to the internet and the internet is kind of important nowadays in what we do. I mean, it has been for a while, but now even more so because we can't tour. So I think that
it sucks, honestly. Like, have you watched The Social Dilemma?
Yeah, for sure.
That's like the part that sucks. But and it's like they say in that, like, the more advanced we get with all the pros come the cons, and it sucks that we have to like focus on like, yeah, I need the internet for this and I need the internet for that, but like I also shouldn't become addicted to scrolling mindlessly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's like, because I feel you. Like, I watched that documentary and I was like, oh shit, I'm getting offline. Fuck it, I'm deleting it.
yeah,
But then I really started thinking about it, and it's like, you know what? Just use it for what you want to use it for, and that's it. And it just is what. It's not the end all be all. It's just, hey, it's a place where I post creative stuff, and even more so lately, I've just been thinking of it as just use your creativity and use the internet for that as well. And that's what it is. It just is what it is. It's not the end all be all. It's not going to fulfill some void in your life. It's not going to do that. And just do what you can with it, and let it be a part of your creative thing. That's that. I think that's the healthiest thing you could possibly do, really.
True.
But inherently, it is a lot more addictive than it's a lot more emotional and addictive than like just sitting in your room and playing guitar or whatever, or acting like you're Jonathan Davis. I get that, but I think it does have its place. And honestly, it's pretty freaking amazing. Like, if the pandemic or whatever happened 20 years ago, you'd really be isolated. It wouldn't be like, oh, I'm still connecting with all these people on the internet or whatever.
Totally.
If this happened like 20 years ago, though, that like TBS would be going off with like reruns of Fresh Prince and like Saved by the Bell and shit. Like, everybody would be like, I'm all caught up on Saved by the Bell 2 times over for sure.
Yeah, definitely. No, I mean, I feel that for sure too. And I don't know. I think maybe there's just something wrong with me, but I just, like, for me, it's been a cool year, just personally, because I've had the time to sort of do a lot of reflecting or whatever, and just kind of see like where I fit into all this stuff.
I mean, I've gone through both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, month to month, 1 month I'm like, when is this gonna be over? I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
And then the next month I'm like, I got my haircut and I've got it all together.
Yeah. Totally.
Have you been out of work because of the pandemic?
So I started working at the end of July, and I'm bartending at a craft beer bar, and it's like I'm thankful to be making money. I'm making way less money now that I live in Austin compared to where I lived before, because I lived in like North Texas and I worked at a casino in Oklahoma.
Oh, that's right. I remember that, actually.
Yeah, so it's just the type of thing where like it's a fucking casino. You're gonna get paid more just because it's like a casino, and I moved out here, you know, it's a trade for living in a real city, you know what I mean, comparatively. Yeah. And I make less money, but, you know, we're also in a pandemic. So it's like there's highs and lows. Like, you know, whenever we first opened, you know, late summer, it was like, boom, we're getting hit. You know, lots of people are coming. And then also there would be like, you know, this or that county's in the red, and then it would be like slow again. And I'm like, I'm the type of person that like, I want people to stay home and I want people to wear masks. But then I'm also like, now I'm working a job where I depend on people to come out and spend money. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, totally. No, I get it. I get it for sure. But
yeah, that's been something that that fucking really sucks for people that like people are being put out of work because of this. It's a thing that I don't know where Austin stands now, but for us, like we're back to being completely closed down. Nothing is open. So
I think Austin, not the county I work in, but like if you go further south, they're back to closed down because they had a shit ton of cases. But where I live is more, I'm like Pflugerville, Round Rock area. So it's like north. And so we're just on the cusp of like still being able to stay open, and like the schools are in, except for it snowed here today.
I know. I was gonna ask you about that. A few friends of mine from Austin were posting about how it snowed today. What's up with that? Why'd that happen? It's not supposed to. So
it snowed. I personally am not a huge fan. I'm okay with everyone posting all of their stuff being like, look at all the snow people. That was my girlfriend was calling it snow people, because you can't assume that it's a man, you know.
No, it's a snow person.
We're not gonna make every snow man with 2 carrots. You know what I mean?
I love it, dude. I love it.
But yeah, you know, everybody, I swear that there was a snow person in every freaking yard today. It was insane.
There was that much snow?
Hell yeah, dude. They're like, it's my chance to fucking go out there.
No, how the fuck? It looked like there were only a few flakes. You have to you have to be able to like roll it up and
The thing is, it was like just like, you know, when it's like just cool enough to stick on the ground, but not cold enough to be like insane to go outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
It was super fluffy, and like my girlfriend drove out in it and came back. So she said that you know, her windows were completely clear, and she woke me up, and then I got ready and we left, and this was like a few hours later, and it was already like 4 inches on the windshield.
Holy
of just like
shit.
Stacked snow. Yeah, so everybody was making snow people, you know what I mean?
Snow people down the block.
Snow people.
But, you know, and then my girlfriend's daughter was like, "Oh, we should build another snowman or go sledding." And I'm like, "No, I don't like the cold," because
Well, that's how Chaney is, dude. She's a wimp. She's from Iowa, the coldest place on earth.
Now that I've moved to California, now that I've lived here long enough, I'm not trying to fuck with the snow. I'm not trying to fuck with the cold at all. Like when we will think about moving other places, because it's a thing we think about a lot, being, you know, living in California where it's so expensive. I just like, there are so few states that I would move to, because now it's like Texas has been crossed off. There's snow there. So where are we supposed to move? You know?
So I grew up in Kansas, and it's like, it's not like it snows crazy amounts there, but it snowed at least once or twice every year.
That's it.
And
I would think that Kansas, though, it's not that much more south than Iowa, you know?
Right. And I just remember every time it did snow, I would like almost wreck every year.
Dude,
like,
that's everyone. I totaled my first car. So my first car was a Volkswagen Beetle, and it was bright yellow. And I cried when my parents bought it for me because I hated the color. But it was new. Like I feel like I'm a brat for crying over it. But anyway, I totaled it because I slid over black ice. I was like out driving somewhere where I wasn't allowed to be driving, of course. And I like slid over some black ice and drove over a huge curb, like a 12-inch high curb. And it just sliced down the middle of my Volkswagen Beetle like it was an aluminum can, and sliced it open.
Oh, damn.
Where in Kansas are you from?
I went to high school in Hoisington, Kansas. It is right in the middle of the state. It's in Barton County. It's nowhere. It's like Methville, USA, for sure.
Dude. Yeah, we have that in common, being from Methville, USA. I really like watching meth documentaries, though. I don't know. Maybe it like reminds me of home.
Like a soft spot in your little heart for rolling around town.
Yeah. So, when did you move out of Kansas?
So I moved out of Kansas in like 2003. It was like I had graduated and then hung around my hometown and like finally decided it was too methy. And then I got out of there and moved to Texas, where I moved in with my brother because he'd already like moved down prior to go to college and stuff. And at one point I wanted to stay and he was like, dude, you need to move to a real city because you've never seen what real life is. And
that's a good brother.
Yeah. And I did move and I realized there's a lot more than the Midwest. So that was the best decision I ever made.
So are your parents still there?
My parents, they lived in like the North Dallas area for a while. They moved like right after I did. Okay. And, but the thing is they just moved. They lived in like Arlington area. Mansfield.
Oh, damn. King of the Hill, represent.
Yeah. And then, my dad's definitely like a fucking Hank Hill for sure, but
really? Wait, which one of your parents is the Asian one? The Thai it's Thai, right? Yeah.
My mom is Thai.
Okay. I was just imagining your dad being a Thai guy, like being like Hank Hill.
My dad's super white and he's like, Michael, come find the remote, like he would like call me from downstairs when I lived in Kansas. Be like, Michael, come up here. Run all. Well, what's up, Dad? You need to find me the remote. or he'd be like, fix me a Diet Coke. I'm like, you called me all the way up, motherfucker.
That's legit, dude. I like that. That's the kind of dad I want to be, dude. You know what I mean? Just fucking with my kids all the time. Hey, man. You need to get down here. Fix my shoelace, motherfucker.
The deal on like kids just can't find things that adults can find. You know what I mean?
That's because I swear, true.
Twice a week he'd be like, go downstairs and in the laundry room on top of the dryer, there's like an Allen wrench and I need that. And I would like go down there and search mindlessly for like 40 minutes. Like I would never found what you showed me. And then he would walk straight to it. Be like, you dumbass.
It would have taken him like 3 minutes, like 2 seconds to do it.
Yeah.
That's like so they moved to Texas like after you did. They were like, oh, maybe we should check it out. That's what they did.
My dad's from Texas, so he like knew that he was eventually going to move down, and that's kind of why I moved down too. I was like, well, if I move down, they're moving down here anyways. I'd just rather live with my brother and like start my own adult life or whatever. And
yeah. So you're close with your brother?
I'm pretty tight with my brother. He's 6 years older than me. So, there's times where he's like doing family things now. Okay. And, or there's like that gap in like him going like, what the hell is a Post Malone? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. My brother's like a year and a half younger than me. So we're basically like the same age. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My sister is 9 years younger than me, so it's like we couldn't be more disconnected in age or like things that we're interested in.
Kind of though, but you aren't like a total square.
We come together on the smoking weed aspect.
And like
which
about pop culture.
Smoking weed will really help in friendships. If you're 13 or so and listening to this, then like smoke weed, man, because it's gonna help you form.
Wow, encouraging 13-years-olds to smoke weed.
The thing is that it's going to help you form a lot of relationships. Like there are a lot of friendships on tour that I wouldn't have if I didn't smoke weed.
Right. So you just smoking weed is nature for me now. Like I'll sit there and go, why am I so mad at the world right now. Oh, I haven't smoked yet today. Okay, I gotcha.
I feel that way about coffee, but also weed. I mean,
oh no, there's nothing like for me. There's nothing like a big ass cup of coffee and a bowl, or like an energy drink in a bowl,
Oh,
and then like seeing one like a type movie. You know what I mean?
I love
Like going
it.
to the theater right after chugging some coffee. Like,
You do that?
You go to the theater
right after chugging some coffee?
Uh-oh. I might have lost it.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
no.
we lost.
Okay,
oh,
you're
he's back.
You're back. Okay, so
And we
wait,
lost you
you
for a
go to the theater after chugging some coffee.
yeah, that's my thing. I was like, just get blazed of shit and then allegedly, and then drink some coffee.
Wait,
and
is
then,
smoking weed illegal where you live?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally illegal.
That's weird.
in Austin, actually, they said they don't have time to worry about it. But outside of Austin, it's still definitely illegal.
That's the thing. If you go to like Austin tends to have really good weed. People who show up to shows there and stuff have really good weed, and it seems to be because they don't care that much. Are there dispensaries inside of Austin?
I honestly think there are medical things going on. It's not, I don't think it's like a,
There's some medical things going on.
Medical
That's for
things
sure.
going on. I
But-
think somebody gave us. I feel like we got gifted a bunch of drugs in Austin, or was that Seattle?
I don't know. That
Yeah, I
just
don't know
happens on tour.
Yeah, I don't know.
People give you a bunch of, I always wish that I could be that person who's like showing up with a
Like,
pound
yeah,
of
here you go.
weed for the band,
Here you
but
go.
I've never been that. I've never done it.
I mean, I'll like show up with a ball or something, but then problem is like I'll be like I'll load up a little bag and be like that'll be enough, and then as soon as I'm in the car driving, I'm like there's no way that's enough for like even a couple of hits. So I'm like I'm just an asshole for showing up with this.
Yeah, and there's like 10 guys on tour trying to hit.
So it's like there's a weed like you're feeling like inferior because you're showing up with like not enough weed. Like you show up with a little weed. So what's better, to show up with a little weed and it's like not enough, or to show up with no weed?
The thing is, I'm like I'm a broke person. I'm a poor person. So so whenever I'm looking at that bag of weed and going, well, how much should I take with me? It's always like, the weed's like, you might as well just leave most of it here because you're gonna get desperate,
I think the
Totally.
best thing to do would be you show up with a joint
Right.
and you're ready to smoke, and you're, hey, I'm here, I'm doing my thing. Everybody, we're smoking a joint, and everyone's like, yeah, and then you're kind of known as dude who brought a joint, even if it's just one joint. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you bring like a tarantula.
Yeah, you're good to go. And then you're in at that point. That's what I think.
If you bring a joint. Here's one thing that I think works is if you bring a joint to share and then you bring a joint also for the band.
There you go.
Because
That's solid.
a joint,
Rock
you
solid.
like, no one knows how much weed is in a joint. A joint could be like a gram. It could be like a quarter. No one knows.
Well,
Everyone,
also-
they're looking at the joint. And it's like, it's a joint.
Super weird that like, have you ever read those things that tells you how much THC you actually get out of like each way of smoking?
No.
It's like, I read this thing saying that like, vaping is like how much THC does it like pull out for you to smoke? And it's like, up to 75% or something. And don't quote me on all these actual numbers, but
We
then,
won't.
and then you go down the list and it's like, oh yeah, vaping like gets me fucked up. And then you go down the bottom of the list and it's like a joint, 8% of the THC. And I was like, that can't be right. But there has been times I've smoked a joint and been like, am I high?
There you
know
go.
what I mean?
Dude, totally. I will smoke a joint and be like, am I high? And then I'll convince myself that I need to switch to another smoking mechanism to feel a little more high.
Hey, let's check out. There's got to be a Google thing. Am I high? I'm gonna look it up. Right. Am I high?
I'm convinced that if I
Don't take
cough,
this quiz if you're high.
if I cough as I am right
yeah.
now, that I'm probably high.
It's not as
Maybe
cut and
that's
dry.
just something I've had since I was a kid.
Not as
like,
cut and dry as I
okay.
thought.
Full disclosure, my best friend's dad would give us weed to smoke in high school. Okay?
That's
When
legit.
I was like 18, And he would always say, hold it in and cough because I'm not going to give you that much weed. So here's like a hit. So ever since then, like holding it in and coughing, I'm high. And it might be a placebo from my best friend's dad, but I feel high if I drink some water. Okay, if I take a hit and then I drink some water and I swallow and then I blow it out after the drink, then I'm for sure high.
Because your body thinks it's about to drown, and you only have weed in your lungs.
Did you look that up?
And then as soon as you blow it out, you're like, I'm alive. But things feel different.
I'm alive. Here's a kiss to this guy.
But
Do you have any pets?
Oh, hello.
When did you guys start Worship and Tribute, Nerd?
Yeah,
or is it just you? Or is it also your friends? Because I know that you do episodes with you.
Right. So it's pretty much me that like does all of it. I just need some of my friends work with me because they have, very, very particular tastes and opinions. So my friend Fuzz is like the most like, he'll fucking shit talk anything he hates and tell you how he feels in any scenario, you know what I mean? And so I've definitely been like, oh, Fuzz, hey, have you watched Mandalorian? It's like the coolest. And he's like, fuck off. That shit sucked. I was bored as fuck. Couldn't even get past the third episode, and then so Tim Gorgon from Within the Ruins.
Oh, he was the vocalist, right?
Yeah, or he was the old vocalist.
Right.
But he was like, hey, you need to put Fuzz on like every episode. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, Fuzz is the best. Like, especially when he starts shit talking everything. And so me and him have been doing like a lot of interviews and stuff like that. Just because I don't know, like most things have a co-host, you know what I mean? It's easier to bounce, some conversation around with two people.
That's like Chaney's
Dude,
my co-host.
it's totally true. No, you're my co-host. We fight about this a lot. Like, I feel like I'm the host and Navene is the co-host. Right. But it's true, dude. It's like when that is a thing about the conversations in the podcast thing. It's like if I'm not thinking of something to talk about, Navene's thinking of something to talk about. It's like a conversation.
Right.
But being able to bounce it off of a couple of people, like, we can do episodes by ourselves and stuff like that, and it adds a different dimension to the podcast thing.
Right. I actually, so I know that where I'm at, like, most people don't even remember me as Rickshaw, the guy that was in Iwrestledabearonce or whatever. But so I'm like trying to build my own community and my own channel from the ground up. And then like every now and then people are like, oh shit, you're Rickshaw, whatever. So it's like the type of thing where like I'm focusing right now on interviews because I know that, certain people that are still touring or things like that, they will draw more attention. And then but then I hope to do things with my friends eventually to where I could keep it rolling both ways, you know what I mean?
Totally. It's one of those things that it just takes persistence, it seems. It's like starting a band from scratch. Like the only way to become more known or like to get your name out there more is just to keep going. That's really
keep going,
dude.
We've
been like that. We've been saying that with our band since the beginning. As long as you just
that last one?
Yeah, I did. As long as you keep going with your band, more people are going to know about you. Like things are just going to climb and get better, and that's really what it's all about. Because people start shit. Like we've seen a lot of people start podcasts during the pandemic. Like that's been the most popular thing to do, I would say.
Where are they at now, dude?
And a lot of people have quit doing podcasts as well. It's like
we quit
we quit for a little while, but we didn't quit because we didn't see growth. We literally quit because there was just a feeling of like, I don't really want to do this for a while.
But now I'm like, this is the best thing
some
ever.
people quit. Some people start things and they think that they're going to succeed very quickly doing those things. And when they don't succeed quickly, they quit doing those things very quickly. And that things like this, a podcast, things that are popular to do, like they take a little longer. It's a building process. You're not necessarily going to see people like listening to or sharing your shit overnight. It's just a process of getting your name out there, and it's hard. There are a lot of people doing it. It's really hard to like make people want to listen to your podcast. When
Well, it's the mentality of the world right now too, or not even right now, it's been for a while, is like, you know, I saw this meme that was like, it was like, hey, I got a new job. And then it would be like social media, 150 likes. And then it's like, hey, I started my own business. And it's like 1 like, you know what I mean? And
that's true. That's true.
that's the mentality. And it's like human nature to be like a hater or jealous, or like you might not even know it, but then it's like, you're like, oh, someone who's doing less than me got a promotion. But then when they're doing better than you, you might be like, oh, well, they're doing all right. I'm not even going to give them a like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and in reality, we're sacrificing a bunch of time for our creativeness. And we just like, all we want is validation sometimes to be like, I spent hours on this and I, you know what I mean? Like, so.
Need that like, dude. Give
yeah,
me that
but
like.
you know, you're throwing it out into the world of static, man. It's like, it's hard to get a like. As easy as it is to get a like, it's hard to get a like. So, you know, we're throwing shit out into the ether and we're like hoping that it works. And I think that it's silly to think that it's going to work right away.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like the type of thing too, where like a good example of like that, just like natural hater instinct you have as a person is like back when, you know, Krista quit our band and Courtney took over, everybody was like, I don't like Iwrestledabearonce anymore because of their new singer, even though there's no music yet.
Right.
And then
They did that to you guys?
I mean, well, there was times where I literally went to like a coffee shop one time to get a sandwich before a show, and we were on tour with Attila, and I heard kids saying like, I don't really care about Iwrestledabearonce anymore because I heard their new singer sucks. And then I thought to myself, there is no recorded music with Courtney yet, and this is the first time in this city since Courtney joined. You know what I mean? And so I'd be like, cool. Now I'm like sad boy eating my sandwich.
But dude, that's something that we thought about a lot because, you know, we did something really weird and we decided that our band would be just 2 people. Right. And so right when we announced that, we put out a song the minute we announced it, just because it did have something to do with like we wanted to avoid people questioning whether or not we could exist in a 2-person form. We just put something out right away, and it's like, it's interesting the way that those opinions spread and whether or not people actually think those things. They listen to what other people say, and it's like the rumor mill becomes people's opinion for some like fucking weird reason.
Well, I know that too. Like just some of those people that were immediate haters, I guarantee they heard Spirit Box years later and are like, what is this? This is so sick. And
I know.
And I guarantee some of those people went back and found out, oh, this is the chick that, you know, took over in Iwrestledabearonce. And they were probably like, oh, I talked a lot of shit, you know, without even giving it a chance. And now I'm like super fan of Spirit Box. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Totally.
That's definitely happened.
Yeah.
That's definitely
100% happened.
Definitely.
So, you know, it's a big bummer. A big bummer for IWABO. You know what I mean? But also, it needed to go to sleep. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's also a bummer for people, though, because they're missing out on sick music because of, without necessarily giving it a shot.
Yeah.
I feel like that happens a lot of the time. Like, people let the things that other people say determine whether or not they should actually give a band a shot or give a thing a shot. It happens in movies all the time. It's like popular opinion becomes everyone's opinion, whether or not they've really seen something or listened to something.
Right. Herd mentality and shit.
Yeah, it exists, dude. I mean,
but on the flip side, it's all this stuff is fun to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting here, I've drank a bunch of craft beers, just hanging out with like we haven't talked in a couple years, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's like, for me, a super sick thing about doing this podcast. You know, it's just hanging out and doing like basically a Skype call with an old bro, which we've done a bunch of times already now, and it's super fun. Yeah. As long as I don't drink too many beers.
So I remember seeing that episode where you said that you might have drank too much by the end. What, like, I didn't actually. I kind of fast forwarded it just to look, but was there anything that you personally saw yourself doing to where you're like, oh man, what's up?
I just think that
Are you talking about the Blake
we
episode?
both just sound like a little.
Way too drunk.
Not like we sound stupid, but we just sound like a little like, oh yeah, like totally. You know,
No,
it's
I
just
started
a little more,
thinking about it more though,
not
and
like
I was like,
anything
okay, well, every time I go to a BT Bam show, I get really drunk, and I like spill my guts to them.
Right.
So it's kind of just business as usual, really. You know what I mean?
I have a story about this BT Bam show I went to. Like,
I want to hear it.
So I don't know anyone in BT Bam, but I knew some of the dudes in Contortionist, and they were touring.
Yeah,
right.
We went to that show. That's the show. That's the show where I was talking to Blake about that show where I got super wasted and I was in. Anyway.
Yeah, it was the Colors tour, right?
Yes, exactly. So that day, me and some homies went to Dallas, and they had like this slider fest to where they had a bunch of food trucks, and we're like eating sliders, like here and there, different food trucks.
That's sick, dude.
And one of my friends brought, like a bottle of Jameson, so we would like sip on that every now and then, enjoy the burgers. And then my other friend was like, "Oh, I brought a tincture." And are you familiar with what a tincture is?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've
made tinctures.
Yeah. He used Everclear for this tincture.
Yeah, that's what I did.
You're getting high as fuck off of that tincture.
Also, first time he like made it, he was like, I don't know, I didn't want it to be like this big, right? It was like in a big pot, and he's like, this is a lot. So then he double cooked it and made it more potent to where it was like in a smaller, more concentrated form.
Back that.
So then I'm looking at like this dark green sludge, and I'm like,
yeah, it looks like straight up like the swamp thing. Like it's disgusting.
Yeah, like on the fucking Creep Show when they're like swimming in the lake and it just like fucking flesh or whatever.
Dude, totally. Speaking of Creep Show, did you just see the Creep Show Christmas episode?
Oh yeah.
Not to interrupt your episode, dude. I loved it. It was so good.
Okay, so we've been having some Jameson, we had some sliders, and then they talked me in. We hung out with the Contortionist for a little bit, and we're like, "Hey, we got this tincture," and like, "Oh yeah, let's go have some." So we all took a shot of it.
Yeah.
Like,
did you have it? Did you have it in a little eyedropper vial?
No, we had it in the little, just no dropper, but it was in a little vial or whatever. And so like we poured shots, and I was like,
"Oh my god!"
Back, definitely shouldn't have done a shot, but but here's the deal, like. I drank that shot, and so did all the guys from Contortionists. And I know that they're like, professional smokers. So, so when we went back inside, I started feeling like my buddy Juan was there with me, and he's like a huge BT Bam fan. And I was like, "Hey Juan, I'm starting to feel real fucked up. So can you please watch me? I need you to like direct me to go places, And he's like, "Okay, I'll definitely watch you, but I'm going to be right out here on this balcony, and I'm going to watch BT Bam. And then we can go." And I was like, all right, because I'm not feeling good. So as soon as that door shut and he was out on the balcony, I sat there for like 2 minutes, and I was like, where did my friend Juan go? I'm so fucked up right now. And I remember going out into the crowd and looking for my friends, and I was like, oh no, I feel like so bad right now. Then the show ended, and we went outside, and I threw up like 9 times.
Yeah.
Oh my god, off of weed?
I feel that.
Well, it was the Jameson and the slide.
Right.
You better believe it.
Hello, party's here.
You better believe it, dude. Like, seriously.
Dude,
And so the show let out as I was throwing up, and my friends had met this dude there that they knew, and he didn't want to bring attention to me throwing up like savagely, like several times in a row.
Yeah.
So he kept
guy.
He pulled his shirt over his head like Cornholio and was like, "Hey, hey, 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 everybody!" And like as I threw up 9 times. So that guy was a good friend.
That's solid. Creating the diversion. Creating the diversion. I like it.
Right.
I fucking threw up after that episode with Blake.
Yeah, no, he threw up a lot, and I had to go like put a blanket over him in the bathroom.
I was like, oh my God, am I that drunk? Like, seriously?
That's a thing that happens to
I didn't
me.
even drink that much. Like, I know what, for me to drink a lot is like drinking a lot. You know what I mean? But I think because I didn't eat that much or something, and it just, I had like 2 or 3 craft beers and then like a little bit of this whiskey over here that somebody gave me for Christmas. And it just fucked me up, man.
That's the thing, man. Puke will sneak up on me when I least expect
it's
it.
Horrible.
Like I never plan on puking. Never plan on it.
Oh, I could provide so many puking
But I also
stories.
on tour, like I get really bad motion sickness. So if I'm kind of drunk, if I'm kind of there, driving in a van after a show will just send me over the edge and I'll be throwing up. Like there was one night we played in Ohio. What was that? What's the name of that venue?
No, you were already drunk. You were really drunk that night.
Yeah, I was wasted. But then I got into the van, and we just drove off, and the world started spinning for me. And
I remember that night though, because the venue had super fucking bomb burgers, and you didn't eat yours, and me and Evan ate it.
Yeah,
like,
that venue. It's one of those venues like they made the burgers named after the bands. So. Like you guys might have ordered the Entheos burger and it was really bomb or something, but I didn't get to eat my super bomb burger. They were super
the
special.
Burger wasn't vegetarian, so I was
fuck.
like, "Oh, it's a bummer."
But
like there's a level of like excitedness drunk that pushes you into wasted. You know what I mean?
Dude,
Totally.
It totally happens.
That's what
because
happens
you're
to
like,
me every time.
Dude, I'm with all my friends.
Yeah.
Let's fucking. You know what? Now that you're talking about it, I was actually with Jordan from The Contortionist on that night. We were just taking a bunch of shots. Me and Travis, our old guitar player, Travis Rivera, and Jordan were taking a bunch of shots. And I got into the van at the end of the night, and Navene could tell that I was on my way to
I was like, I better prepare a bag.
So he brought like a trash can back to the third bench, which was my bench. And he just sat it there, and I fucking barfed all night.
I'm a pro, dude. I'm like, all right, Chaney's gonna throw up. I'm gonna have...
and I remember specifically that night, Evan was like, "You are so fucking lucky that your boyfriend is in this band because no one would do this for you."
Shout out third bench, though. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure I was a third bench guy too.
Oh, you're a third bench guy. The third bench is when you want to be mysterious and you like want to be away from everyone, but not that mysterious because there's someone behind you. It's like I'm behind everyone, but there's still someone, you know?
The introvert extrovert chair. You know what I mean? It's like they could hear me if I want to talk, but I could also fucking fall asleep and everybody would leave me alone.
That's true.
Yeah, dude. Totally.
But I remember when it was like we were just going on tour as 4 people. I was like, I'm straight up taking the 4th bench. I did a seniority.
Well, but our
call.
4th bench was a bed.
No, dude. On the last tour, I put the bench back.
Oh, it was just a bench. You went through this too because you've been in a band with a couple. Was there a bed in the back bench or what was the?
Yeah, what was that like? That must have been weird.
Yeah, what's it like to be in a band with a couple?
So there was times where it was super annoying, but also it was fun.
Is it annoying because we're so cute? Or
annoying.
I'm just like.
But it's just I don't know why. I think that it's the fighting that makes it super annoying. You know what I mean? Like,
wait, you've been in a band with a couple that fought?
Well, there were times whenever. Okay, so the 2 couples that I've toured with were
two couples?
Wait, you've
Yeah,
toured with 2 different couples.
Oh, because Mike Stringer and Courtney.
Yes.
Well, who's the other couple than the
Krista.
Stringers?
Steven and Krista were dating originally, but then
Oh, you didn't know that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah.
they split up, and we still toured together.
God.
And so there was
That's weird. No, that's fucking weird.
Especially whenever like that first thing that happens, that's like, oh, they're mad at each other, affects everyone in the band. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, would you just shut the fuck up for a minute? And then it's like the whole band. Like,
Oh my god, dude. It's like, where do we go? Fuck. Did you have to be the mediator?
Man, like with those people, with like Krista and Steven, you just stayed out and you just minded your business. You know what I mean? It was the type of thing where you just couldn't.
Like, look, you guys love each other, okay? You're great together, and you're gonna get through this, man.
I mean, that Michael and Courtney were so much different, honestly, because
Yeah, they're
they're always sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry. And like, there was a point in time where it was like young Michael. He was young Michael, so that was the thing. So there was Mikey, I was Rickshaw, and then Michael Stringer was young Michael.
Stringer.
3 fucking mics in the band.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. You should have just not. You should have just not allowed them in the band because of their name, Mike.
We're gonna pass.
It was like, you know, young Michael, if you say that you're sorry out with me one more fucking time when you haven't done anything but be polite all day.
But Mike is coming from the point where he's British as well as Canadian.
Yeah,
so it's like just like constantly butting heads with the sorriness, you know? Like just so I'm so sorry.
Those two though were the type of people that like absolutely knew that they were just trying to exist with respect for everybody's space. You know what I mean? So it was really easy to tour with them, especially whenever there would be times where Courtney goes, Rickshaw, you haven't had coffee yet. You're still a fucking monster at this point. Please just drink some coffee. And I'm like, she's right. So yeah, I was the monster. I was the bad person once they were in the band because they were just so respectful and like.
Right. So how long did you tour with them?
So when Krista left, it was 2012. So it was like 2009 to 2012. We had Krista.
Okay. That's a long time.
And then 2012 to 2015 was Courtney, and Mike was mostly in the band for that period. So.
And he took the place of Stephen Bradley?
No, he took the place of John Gainey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. So then, whenever Stephen started doing all the Diplo stuff, we just did a track and young Michael as guitars.
Got it.
So yeah, that was fun. I miss those guys, and they fucking deserve everything that's starting to happen for them right now too, because they've busted ass and they've always been super nice.
They are the nicest people really ever. Nice.
And originally the plan was Mikey, our Iwrestledabearonce's drummer, and me to be in Spirit Box, but they live in Canada, so it was like really hard to to communicate and try and get things going. And I'm also, like I said, I was kind of music jaded after.
Yeah. Did you weren't trying to do anything after I Wrestled a Bear Once? Is that what your vibe was? I mean,
the thing is, they were like, do you want to be in a band with us? Like, we're trying to start. And I was like, I would love to, but I also have to get a normal job and make sure I've got money to exist. And
totally.
There's other things that I want to do besides music. And I started working on some of that stuff. And so by the time that they were kind of putting out some music and stuff, they're like, so what's up? And eventually, I was kind of oblivious to my own vibe about it, because I was like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. But then, they'd be like, this song or that song. And I'd be like, which song is that again? And they're like, you don't even know the songs? And I would be like, well, I mean, we don't have a live show in sight. We don't have anything in sight. And I'm doing my normal shit, working at a fucking casino that's sucking my soul out of my body. And so, they would be like, well, maybe you're just not into it. And I'm like, I guess I'm kind of not, you know what I mean? So whenever the time came for young Michael to be like, we're going to start trying to do some live shows and stuff. And I was like, you need to do whatever you need to do because I live in Texas and you live in Canada and I got a normal job and, and I finally have money in my pocket, so,
dude.
So that's how it went. And now, now I'm like super proud, but I'm also like, like it would have been so sweet to be in that band.
But at the same time, man, I feel like things work out as they're supposed to. That's in true. Some like weird, I know that sounds like super corny and everything to say, but I really do think that things turn out as they're supposed to turn out. And, maybe that's not what you're supposed to do.
Right. For sure. And, they, like I said, they're like the nicest people I've ever come in contact with. So it's like
they really are. Like, dude, I have a lot of love for Courtney. Like I have a lot of love for both of them. I met Courtney because I put up this Veil of Maya cover like years and years ago, and she posted it and then hit me up. And I just thought it was the nicest thing because she was in Iwrestledabearonce at the time. And to me, that's like, Iwrestledabearonce was huge. So to have the vocalist of the band hit me up and tell me that my cover was, which is, here's an IWABO fucking sample. But to have the vocalist of the band hit me up and say nice things to me was amazing. And from that, like, we formed a friendship, and I fucking love those guys.
There's things, about that. Like, honestly, if I told you, that's kind of like full circle with like where Courtney came from, because there was a point in time where Krista was the vocalist. And that's the reason we know Courtney, is because she hit us up one time and was like, I love you guys so much. Just saying that, like it's inspired me to be a vocalist. And we were like, well, your band's awesome. Like we gave it a listen and it's sick. And we kind of stayed in contact just through that fact of her giving us props and us giving props back. And then when Krista quit, we were like, what about that one girl? You know what I mean?
Totally.
And that's like seriously how she became, a member, is just because, she recognized Krista as a vocalist, and Krista was like, yeah, you're doing sick shit. And then when we needed her, she was like, fuck yeah, I'll do it. So
also let that be known that like it's hit people up and tell them that you enjoy them if you do.
Out, yeah, reach out,
don't be like, oh, I can't hit that person up there. I'm like, they're too cool. Or just hit the people up that you think are awesome and tell them that, like, encourage them.
Yeah, I mean, like people hit me up and they're like, I can't believe you messaged me back, and I'm like, bro, I'm a bass player. Nobody cares about bass players, okay? So I'm just a normal hitting you back. Thanks for watching the show. So
dude, totally. It's like, all right, I have like 5 messages. Yeah. So your one message is not hard for me to get back to.
They're like, this is the type of thing too, where like people are like, I used to listen to that band. And why are you working at this bar that in my city? And I'm like, because my ASCAP check came in last week and $7.58 for 6 months.
Yeah.
so
38 cents. Thank you.
So real. I play underground metal.
So there I am serving the craft beer.
Delicious craft beer, though.
I mean,
this
it's
is
pretty good.
Really
I will say that I've got a solid buzz going.
Nice.
I do too.
I got real hammered last night, so I'm just like nursing it today.
Wait,
dude,
so
I got kind of randomly hammered last night.
Did you go out?
Okay, so I had some friends come from Denton. My co-host Fuzz was down, and
Fuzz. I like that name.
Yeah, and we, like I said, we filmed a bunch of stuff and did some podcasts, and afterwards we went to the bar where I work, and then just got some like shots and a beer, and then left. So
I back that. I fucking haven't been to like a bar in so long.
I can't wait to. I feel like I'm gonna puke the next time I go to a bar, just because I'm going to be so excited to be there.
Well, we went to some bars in Oregon, but it was kind of like.
It was weird. Like,
you
still had to wear a mask. You had to be far away
from. I'll do my little shot and then leave or whatever. But that was cool.
Yeah, just pretty. I mean, it's cool. And it tells. I don't know. Like, I'm not the most careful person in the world, but I do wear a mask, and I go to work.
I do too.
I wash my hands, and there's if you just try, you know what I mean? I feel like it's gonna help a lot.
Yeah. It's just, how could it not? It's gotta do something.
My buddy was telling me like I said, we went to high school in the Midwest in Kansas, and they said that, a few months ago, late summer, it was like the Midwest wasn't getting hit very much because it's just like not much traffic, I guess.
Yeah.
And they decided to have a wedding, even though it was like, everybody was like, probably shouldn't do that. They had a wedding and like 150 people got it.
Oh,
like,
fuck.
Yeah, they liked the bride. They handed the bride her kid, and they were like, "Hey, you should probably change your kid." And the bride was like, "I don't smell anything," and they were like, "Your kid."
Uh-oh.
I was like, "Shit, bad." So she was like, "Uh-oh," and they went and got tested, and they were positive, and 150 people got it. It's like, dude, at least try, dude.
I know. Probably don't have a wedding with 150.
We were supposed to have a
we
wedding.
were supposed to get married in June. And we canceled it.
Damn.
Yeah, it was like pretty right off the bat, because at first it was like, I don't really know where to take this. It could go really bad or really good. So we were kind of people were wanting us to hold off until the last second to cancel our shit. But it was just like, dude, we live in California. We were going to get married in Iowa. It was just too big of a deal.
It's like, we can't have people flying in. It's not going to work. Straight up.
We had a vacation trip to LA planned, and we were gonna like go to Harry Potter World and shit, and then
are you a Harry Potter guy?
I mean, I do like Harry Potter. I'm not like super hugely into it, but I do give it props. My girlfriend like totally loves Harry Potter, but
we just bought a camera off a guy the other day, and it's called Muggle.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Like
he was like, I'm really into Harry Potter, so.
No, he didn't even admit that. I was like,
oh, he didn't.
I was like, all right, what's up with the Wi-Fi on this thing? And he's like, oh, it's Muggle. And I was like, oh, okay, you're like a Harry Potter guy, huh? And he's like, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't even what it was. It was, now that I think about it, that guy told me a lie. He lied to me.
What did he tell you?
Okay, here's what happened. We showed up, and I was like, all right, M6. It was an M6 body, like a really nice camera. I'm like, cool, I'll buy it from you. I gave him the money in cash. And then he's like, hey, I also have this lens if you want it, by the way, BTW. And I'm like, yeah, I want the lens. What's up? And then I got his email. And it's because I was like, oh, I don't have any more cash. I gave it to you all for the camera. And it was like so-and-so at like muggle.com or something like that. And then I was like, oh, all right. Well, I guess you're way into Harry Potter. And he was like, yeah, I'm into Harry Potter. Blah,
Wait,
blah.
so his email was
but let me tell you where the lie comes in.
Yeah.
Lie comes in because I was like, oh, does the Wi-Fi work on this camera? Because it's got Wi-Fi to like transfer the photos to your phone. And he was like, oh, I don't even know. I'm not really sure.
He knew.
The thing is, the Wi-Fi network on the camera is called Muggle,
It's called
he named
Muggle.
it that.
It's
he
called
fucking named
Muggle.
it that. He lied to me.
This motherfucker is a Muggle.
Yeah.
Himself.
Fucking liar. Anyway, the camera's great, but I mean, fucking
But he's a
lied.
Muggle.
Just saying.
Okay.
Last motherfucker lying.
Chaney, get this away from me. This is what happened on the Blake episode. I got way too fucking wasted.
So what's your favorite? I don't know why. I just like to like question people who are into like Marvel and comics.
Chaney likes Marvel and
I
all
do.
that
Well,
fucking shit.
I'm into
dude.
all the nerdy shit and all the horror movies and shit.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm definitely into Marvel and shit like that. The Marvel movies have killed it. Like
you've enjoyed them.
Yeah, they like. I'm not one of those like super elite people that's just like Spider-Man's not supposed to be a kid. Like
yeah, no. Who cares? That's the thing. People get so bent out of shape about that shit, and it's like, dude, it's like just take it for what it is. Okay.
Right. It's like they're just trying to capture the spirit of all these characters and then like make it all fit in the puzzle, you know what I mean? And that's essentially what comics have done, for the longest time. And even when they make the pieces fit, and they could like think of a way to change it later on if they want to, because it's fucking comic books. You can do whatever you want. So yeah. So but yeah, all the Marvel movies killed it for me. And some of the older ones were like kind of, stale, but they were still better than some movies. You know what I mean? So now we've gotten like a 10-year story that's like insane. So yeah, I'm super into that. And they're finally about to start some new series things.
Oh, dude, I know. I'm so excited for WandaVision. I can't wait to see WandaVision. I think that's going to be amazing because it's a story that we haven't been told before, right? Like, yeah, exactly. It's a brand new story, this whole WandaVision thing. And
adaptation of a thing that kind of goes down in the comic. So
yeah, but it's not as deep as they're going to get into that concept.
No idea, honestly, how deep the rabbit hole will go for them. But do you know what it's about?
I just know that it's about Wanda and Vision. And
okay, so if you want, I could tell you the comic book version.
Yeah, dude, please.
So the thing is about Wanda and Vision is like, he's a robot and she's a human, and she ends up pregnant, right? Mm-hmm. And then she ends up having a couple of kids, and people are, everybody's kind of like, how did this happen? And then some other things start going down that's kind of like just like things that she wants to happen. And then you eventually realize that like her powers go beyond what you've seen, and she can actually warp reality to where just, at will. So I'm guessing that the show is, obviously we saw Vision die, and
right.
We're going to see her creating this whole new reality just out of out of being desperate for like wanting him back and like wanting to have a family and stuff like that. So yeah, in the comic book, it gets real wacky. I don't know if they're going to like keep it going, but there's a point in time where Scarlet Witch gets like so pissed off with like all of this X-Men Avengers drama that she just says no more mutants. And then like 75% of the Earth's mutants lose their powers like all at once because she said no more mutants.
Wow.
And so Professor Xavier has like a meeting with all the Avengers, and he's like, we have to do something about this emotional girl changing reality at will. So they go to her, she's Magneto's kid. They go to like the place where Magneto and his two kids, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver's like, dude, they're going to come here and kill her. Like the Avengers and X-Men decided the best thing for humanity is to come here and kill my sister, Scarlet Witch. And before they get there, they all wake up in a new reality, and they all are different people. And like, like in Captain America's an old man and like all this shit. But that whole story is called House of M. And it's about how they gave every Marvel character their deepest desire and started this reality. But of course, Wolverine is like, something's wrong with this reality. My mind heals. And then so he's like, he puts together like the X-Men or Avengers to figure out what's going on with this new reality. So that's like, they're saying that it's like maybe gonna lead to that, but who knows, because it's just like their own version of Marvel stuff happening.
Wow.
Wow.
But
there it is.
We can't dig too nerdy, because you guys are going to be on my show, and then that's where we'll get real nerdy, right?
That's true. That's where we'll get super nerdy.
It's a good thing that Chaney's into that stuff, because I would just be like, yeah, that's cool, I guess.
I am into that stuff. I mean, I've only recently gotten to that stuff, but it's, dude, honestly, the first time that I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, I didn't like it. I didn't like it because I didn't know anything about Marvel at all. When the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie came out, and then I met a friend of mine who's like deeply into comics and deeply into Marvel and DC and everything, and he's like been my guide along the way, and I got super into everything from that. But I've only read a few comics. I haven't like gone as deep as you obviously have. But the cool thing about all of these movies, I had no idea when I first watched Guardians of the Galaxy how like interconnected everything was, and how you can go from a movie to a comic and everything ties together and makes sense, because I just watched Guardians of the Galaxy like as a one-off, shoot thing and had no idea what was going on, and that's why I thought it was a shitty movie.
Yeah.
But now I really dig Marvel movies, and I dig DC movies as well. Like I love, the thing about DC movies is I feel like they go into a lot darker places than Marvel is willing to go.
Right. Darker, but it's just like a different vibe. You know what I mean?
It's a totally different vibe. But dude, I mean, the Infinity Wars, I cried during. Yeah. I've seen it 3 times at this point, and I cry every time. It's just so good. A lot of people want to pass that shit off as being like typical, or like just like shitty movies, but they are really good, even though they're like high budget superhero things.
It's like, it's the first time that like Hollywood superpowers have been like, let the guys be creative, let the nerds just do things. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like that's the problem with DC. As much as, you know, some of them are enjoyable movies, like they hit these bumps because like the studio themselves is telling what they want in each movie. And then with Marvel, they're just getting these creative ass directors that used to read comics to do their adaptation. Dude, you know what I mean?
Favreau. I mean, come on, like Mandalorian. That's the perfect telling of a Star Wars story. That's what every Star Wars fan wants to see. And I feel like there is something happening right now where it's like the rising of good comic book movies. Like we're going to see all of these stories go in a really good place. And I feel like The Mandalorian is like almost, it's not the genesis, but it kind of is the genesis of like, look where this shit can go. See how good this can be.
Right.
Like now it's just going to get better.
Right. And also they're being really bold. There's lots of bold shit going on like that you would never see from those types of movies like 10 years ago. Because even like the new Spider-Man movie that they're working on, they just now are talking about how Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are in that movie. So we're possibly going to see 3 different Spider-Men like as a Spider-Verse, like in one.
Spider-Verse. All right.
So it's like,
I'm like, notice Spider-Verse.
So now it's like, hey, which Spider-Man's your favorite? Tobey Maguire, but he's in a fucking movie with the rest of the Spider-Man coming up. You know what I mean?
Which Spider-Man was your favorite?
Tobey Maguire, for sure.
I think he was my favorite too. I mean, it might just be nostalgia because I like went to the theater to see those Spider-Man movies, and I haven't since then. But I just remember like there was just so much surrounding that first Spider-Man movie.
Yeah. But the thing is about Tobey Maguire playing Spider-Man is like Spider-Man is not a cool dude. Like he is super nerdy. Like he doesn't ever really get the girl. You know what I mean? Like he's such a pushover, and then he starts to think about how much it sucks to be Spider-Man because he's poor and like his relationships are falling apart because he's trying to be Spider-Man. So I mean, you look at Tobey Maguire and you get that ugly cry from him, and you're like, God, what a fucking nerd.
The meme? Are you talking about the meme?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's like the best meme ever.
But yeah, I love Toby.
Fuck yeah. All right, man. We've been talking for 2 hours, so we're gonna cut this shit off.
Just keep going. Probably.
Yeah, I know. We could just talk forever.
Episode if I had a couple more of these fucking beers here.
I know we could talk forever, but thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's been a pleasure hanging out, catching up.
Been an honor to be on. I've followed y'all's podcasts as long as I've been doing it too, and I'm like, yo, this is a fucking sick ass podcast. Especially like whenever someone else understands that you're just going for vibes and conversation, it's easy to like trade shows. You know what I mean? Because
totally, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'll have to do your podcast then, dude.
Yeah, dude, if you guys want to come on like after we forget about what we've talked about, you know, for a little while, definitely.
Yeah,
we are not opposed.
We're gonna do it, man.
Hell yeah. That's
All
awesome.
right,
Right on,
it's
dude.
been good. Have a good night, man.
It was good to
Thank
fucking
you so
catch up
much
with
for
you,
this
man.
beer. It was so fucking
Yeah.
good. We got drunk off
And the
of
shirt,
it.
dude.
Electric jellyfish.
All right,
drunk.
brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.